Hello, hi, welcome to my brand new channel. My name is Balisa, and I honestly don't have an intro to these videos yet, so that will have to do. So last year, actually the year before last, I started a YouTube channel called Plants and Things, where I was supposed to be talking about plants and things, but actually ended up talking about plants. And I was quite consistent with that YouTube channel, like taking out a video every week. So anyway, at the beginning of this year, I decided that I wanted to do more things, like talk about more things, which led to an existential crisis with this YouTube channel, where I was like, what am I actually doing? What's the point of this YouTube channel? And the biggest thing was that I have always wanted to be a writer, and I have never put in as much consistency in my writing, as much consistency as discipline into my writing as I put into that YouTube channel. And so I decided to merge the two, use the discipline that I had with my YouTube channel to get writing done, because I would like to write and I would like to publish books, and that's how this YouTube channel came about. So when I started this channel, I didn't really know how I was going to merge the YouTube discipline with the writing to make sure that I wrote at the end of the day. And the first thing that I tried was doing these write with me videos, where I would simply record myself writing in the morning, because my whole thing is I want to write from Monday to Friday in the mornings. And so I would write and then I would record myself, and that was the whole thing. And like, it was basically like an ASMR vibe, and that's honestly not my vibe. I don't even want to lie, that's not my vibe at all. But I did record the first week and some of the second week, and I'm going to talk about the first week and how that writing went. But I only didn't record the Thursday because I woke up and my phone was at 10%, because I am not consistent with charging my phone overnight, and I do use my phone to record. And also my videos aren't very aesthetically pleasing, but even though they were not aesthetically pleasing, they also did take like an hour. It took an hour to record myself writing versus simply writing by myself for 30 minutes. And so, because the whole point of this channel is for me to be writing and to keep myself accountable to writing, all that extra time that I had to spend with recording and editing just didn't make sense. So I am canning that. I am going to post up to the Friday. So basically I'll have 4 write with me videos, but I'm done with that whole situation. Now, one thing that I have been doing with my writing is counting the number of words. Well, not counting, obviously Word does that for you, but like seeing the number of words that I've written every day. I enjoy seeing the counter go up, and that's something that I think I enjoy talking about. And so I've decided to do a weekly wrap-up video, and it's like 1 video a week and 1 editing, which is what I used to do in my previous channel. So it's not going to be so much more intense, whereas like taking out 5 videos a week. So that's more what I'm gonna do, which is what I'm gonna do today, talking about the first week of my writing and how it went and my thoughts and things to do better, if any, and things you just can. But anyway, so I did that first week and it was a great learning experience, but I'm done. I am done. So after that long preamble, let's get into how week 1's writing went. So last week was my first week of writing consistently, and the aim was to write for 30 minutes first thing in the morning, and with an aim of 500 words written per session. And I was surprised. I was so surprised. The first surprise was at the consistency. The fact that I woke up each morning, sat down, and obviously that week also recorded myself, which was more of a job, made it more of a job. But the fact that I woke up each day and sat down, put on my 30-minute timer and wrote. And I think the big thing that was helpful was that I actually had made the decision to do this. So it wasn't like I was waking up. I think before, when I was writing based on vibes and feelings, it was always like whether I felt like writing or not. And then, you know, when do you really feel like working? When do we feel like working? But anyway, it was based on vibes and feelings. Whereas this week, it was like a recognition that my feelings are actually not the truth, and I've made a decision to write, and I'm going to sit down and write. And I sat down and write whether I felt like it or not. And so actually every single day I wrote, and actually today is my 9th day of writing, because it's the Thursday after week 1, and I have been waking up and writing, because it's a decision that I've made and I'm surprised. And last week was actually the first consistent, to my like remembrance, it's the first time in my life where I've consistently written for a whole week. And that is kind of shocking considering I've wanted to be a writer since I was a teenager. But the second surprising thing is the amount of words that I actually managed to write that week. So like I said, my aim is 500 words a day, because I calculated that if I'm trying to write a 90,000 word long novel, and I have already written 10,000 words, around 10,000 words, which actually took me 6 months to write, because those were also based on vibes and feelings, and whether I felt like writing or whether I was feeling inspired or whatever else was going on there. So it took me 6 months to write those words. So I'm starting at 10,000, and I'm in my estimations, I love numbers and running numbers and stuff. It's one of my favorite things. So anyway, when I was calculating how long would it take me to write 80,000 words using 500, like if I'm writing 500 words a day, then it would take, I wrote it down, it would take 160 days, which sounds like, what? But that's around 8 months, which is long. It is long, but it's much shorter than just writing on vibes for 5 years, which also could actually be longer, because who knows how I will feel in the next 5 years. So it actually could take longer, could take shorter, but actually 8 months is a very short time, relatively, to write a book. But anyway, so the aim then, considering the 500 words a day, was 2,500 words for this week. And I actually did way more than that, which is surprising. So on the first day of my writings, I thought I would be so excited, because I was so excited on the Sunday night. I'd made the decision, I'd written a whole thing on my other YouTube channel to say that I wasn't going to be continuing that channel for the foreseeable future. And I was not excited on the Monday. I was not excited. I was nervous, and I think most of the nervousness came from the fact that I was recording myself writing, and I was like, oh my goodness, I'm gonna have to put this out of me writing, and that whole thing of like, oh my goodness, it's so pretentious, like, what are you doing? All those doubts, all those ups and downs, you know, like, oh, what are you doing? Da, 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 da. This could go wrong, this could go wrong, etc, etc, etc. So I was not like feeling it. But you know what I did? I sat down and I wrote, and I managed to crank out 571 words, which is not a whole lot more than 500, but the aim isn't to do 10,000 words, it's to do 500 words. So I did meet my goal, and that I was pretty chuffed. I'm not gonna lie, I was pretty chuffed with myself. And Monday was actually the most excited feeling that I was the most excited, and I wasn't even that excited. I was the most excited on Monday. Tuesday, so my feelings basically went this way. Like, I was like, you get what I'm saying? And like, my feelings were like, oh. And I had to honestly pray a couple of those days to be like, I don't feel like doing it, but this is good work. Lord, help me to do it. Help me to do it, and to do it joy and gladness, because my feelings were like that. Anyway, on Tuesday I wrote, and I got 707 words, which is crazy. And I was surprised. So on Tuesday I got to 11,856 words, which was great. Bearing in mind that I did start at 10,500 and something words. So I was not starting from scratch, but that was still great. And then on Wednesday, I went into the 800s and I wrote 841 words. And this is all in 30-minute sessions. Just typing, just waking up and typing my words and continuing the story. And I'll just give an overview, or like how I'm writing the story. Because I'm not doing what I thought I needed to do. Anyway, on Wednesday I did the 841 words, taking me to 12,697 words. And then on Thursday I did 867 words, taking me to 13,564, which is crazy. And And as I mentioned, like I wasn't, yeah, like I was doing the work that needed to be done regardless of my feelings and not being driven by my feelings, which was great. And I wrote and I was like, you're writing and I have the story, and I have the landmarks of the story. And it's such a weird way to write because I always have thought that I need to have all, like, I need to have little cue cards with the story and all my chapters panned out. But I watched this Andy Wilson's World of Storycraft, I think that's what it's called. I will put a link below. But I watched that and he said just have the middle of the beginning, the middle of the middle, and the ending, and the middle of the ending and the ending, so that you just have the major landmarks of the story. And then it's like a journey to Cape Town, and I'm saying Cape Town because I live in Joburg, and right, like, and then just having the landmarks, and then you know which direction you should be going, and so then you're just taking the story in the direction where you should be going, but you don't know that in 10 kilometers you're going to need to turn left and then right and whatever. So you're just figuring that out when you get there, which is something at the time when I was listening to him, I was like, that's a cute story, I'm not doing that. But actually works really well because I do have, basically, in my head, I feel like because I've been thinking about this book for so long, the beginning is set, but I am past the point, I'm almost past the point where of the beginning, but I do have the climax of the book, the ending, and there is going to be major editing that is needed after this, I must say. But those, I do have the major landmarks, and so there's more thinking about like, okay, should I go left and right to get to that place, which has been more freeing than I thought it would be. And actually, like, the story is flowing. So anyway, after that ramble, so on Friday, which was the last day, I think that honestly felt like the words were like being dragged out of me. And despite that, I wrote 839 words and got to 4,000, why am I saying 4,000? 14,403 words, which, whoa, right? Like, what? I think that's what I mean. Like, I don't even think I'm using words. I'm so surprised at like what just 1 week of consistency could do. Because after that, so basically that gave about 3,800 words, which in 1 week meant that I wrote 36% of the words that I had written over 6 months. Like in 1 week of consistency. So yeah, it is testament to, like, one of the most helpful books that I read about work is called Ploductivity, and his whole thing is like to plod faithfully along, to take the step and then the other, to pursue one's work like a marathon runner rather than a sprinter where you then just run out of steam, but to like take slow steady steps. And this is a testament to that, to like, sometimes one can think, oh, let me just like have a 6-hour writing session where I'll go off and write all these things. But it's like, no, just have small consistent steps every day, because this was done through technically like aiming to write 500 words. I don't know why I say technically, but through aiming to write 500 words a day, I got to this 3,800 words, which is almost half almost half of the words that I wrote over 6 months of just feeling vibes and being like led by my feelings and just vibes. Anyway, so that was pretty exciting, pretty I do need to expand my vocabulary as a writer. Like, why am I saying exciting all the time? But yeah, like it's great, it's great. Yeah, it's great. The first week has honestly inspired me to continue writing consistently on these days, although I was going to continue because my whole thing was like, let's just continue this till we finish this book, this first draft, over these 8 months. So it is like, the proof is in the pudding, and I ate the pudding, and I'm now, it's been proven to me. Anyway, that is how week 1 went, and I am pretty chuffed and stoked. These words are such weird words that I don't use in my everyday life, but have suddenly decided to use them in this video. So that is how week 1 went, and going forward I will be simply doing these weekly recaps, which I will put online on Friday evenings, South African time. And I don't know how that relates to other time, but yes, because then at least I have my weekend to rest. But that is it for me for today. Like the video if you enjoyed it, and be sure to subscribe if you haven't done so already, and I'll see you next time. Bye.